I invoke the blessing of Sadhguru Sri Madhusudan Sai, who is the founder of Sri Sathya Sai University for Human Excellence. On behalf of all the students, I express our gratitude to the University Leadership Board for arranging this session. The Words of Wisdom is a series of talks arranged by the university for the young minds to absorb the pearls of wisdom from their interaction with brilliant and experienced minds in various fields. And thereby engaging them in these sessions, they will be enriched with the human values. The speaker of today's session is Shri Aniket S. Sharma. Mr. Aniket S. Sharma is an IT professional who hails from Bangalore. He acquired his bachelor's in technology from Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University in Uttar Pradesh. He worked in companies like Bristlecone, Saston Network Engineering, and he is currently working in SAP SuccessFactors as development manager. It is Plato who said, the greatest quest in life is to reach one's potential. And Mr. Aniket sir's quest has led him to the myths of our ancient Indians. In this quest, I am sure he found his potential as an author. Mr. Aniket has authored several works of non-fiction. Fiction, Jujutsu, The Rise of Last Warrior, Chakravyuh, Through Eyes of Young Warrior, which are retellings of epic Mahabharata from viewpoints of Jujutsu and Abhimanyu. And also he has authored a work of non-fiction, a quick reference to business analysis. Today, Mr. Aniket will be speaking to us on the topic Beyond the Self. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. That was a great introduction, and I would say it was brilliantly researched introduction. Thank you so much. Am I audible to everyone? Is it okay if I stand and talk? Because while sitting and talk, I do not feel comfortable. So, thank you so much. All right. So, first of all, I would like to thank Sadhguru Sri Madhusudan Sai because of whose vision education and values are meeting together in this vibrant campus. I was roaming around the campus with Dr. Santosh today, and I have seen a lot of positivity around. And this positivity can never happen with the people sitting before me. When I was I've visited multiple things here in the campus. I've gone to Goshala also, have gone to the medical campus also, and I have witnessed the under construction campus as well of medical. They said that it is going to be the world's or the planet's first institute for medical sciences, which is going to be free of cost, and that is kind of amazed me because when someone says free, people do not value that, and when we are here and when we see all of things coming for free and we are valuing that, and that's a miracle for me because free is something which people do not expect too much, but whatever I have witnessed so far today has a lot of witness and a lot of potential and a lot of energy around and a lot of values that people are in the business. Thank you so much for that. And with that, I would want to talk few things. I have not made any presentation. I would want this session to be more interactive. So feel free to talk more. And I will be telling a couple of stories from here and there, and then we'll talk about what Beyond the Self is. Right? Now, first of all, before we begin, can we all close our eyes for 10 seconds? And first listen what we need to do. For the 10 seconds, think of that one person or that one moment which brings a smile to your face. Just think of that for 10 seconds and be with that. I'll tell you what next. Just for 10 seconds. All right. What did you observe? Have you gone through that time which has made you smile, which you want to relive every time? Whenever you are in so much of stress, whenever you are in so much of tension, you want to think of that one person or one moment which brings a smile on your face. And did you notice that that was not only the person which you have thought about, you must have thought about some event associated around it. There may be a story around it. Did that happen? Yeah, did that happen? That is the power of the story. That is how the stories revolve around us, right? From the time when humans started living in caves until the time today when we are living in the era of technology, we are surrounded by these words, paragraphs, sentences, and they are nothing but the stories. Stories keep us connected. The stories keep us motivated. The stories make us believe things which we cannot believe while just thinking. These are the stories which inspire us. These are the stories which inspire us. And this temple is a live example of such a wonderful story which has been passed on generations after generations. People are giving their 100%, more than 100%, I would say, to make the success of the story or the vision that one person sees or one person wants to make it go forward. Right? Now, what is that thing which keeps us going? What is that thing that keeps us going? Which always makes people to think beyond ourselves. There will be some energy. There will be something which always ensures that people have to think beyond self, right? And if you reflect to our history, if you reflect to our scriptures, if you reflect to our epics, there are several characters, there are several stories which make us think beyond ourselves. Can you make some examples? Can you take some examples from your mind, whatever you can think of? Some stories which inspire you always. Any example? It could be a story of your parents. It could be a story of your grandparents. It could be a story of your village headman, or it could be a story of a small farmer. It could be a story of a soldier. It could be a story of a great leader, or it could be a story from the scriptures or the ethics which we read or which we learn. Are there? Do you have any such story in your mind which always inspire you? And that is what which it keeps us going beyond the self, beyond ourselves, keeps on going, keeps on helping going beyond what we can achieve with our capabilities and going beyond those capabilities. Right? So when I was I have written a couple of as it was mentioned in the introduction that I have written a work of non-fiction, and then I thought of gaining some knowledge from the existing scriptures which we have, and then of course when we talk about epics, what better can be than the greatest epics ever told, Ramayana and Mahabharata. So when we start reading those epics, every person has their own version of reading those epics. Somebody reads because of a spiritual inferences. Some people read it because of the knowledge those epics have. Because it is said that whatever is in Mahabharata, there is nothing in the world which is not in the Mahabharata. It is written in the opening context of the greatest epic Mahabharata, right? So when I started reading them, I took the inference of what are those characters which actually have created such thing, or the stories are created around those characters. And then I found there were like multiple characters which are not too known to the people or to all of us. Like when we say Ramayana, we have the story of Dasharath and then Ram and his progeny, and then the entire story of Ram going to forest, and then Ram fight, and then coming back, and Ram became the king again. That's a simple narration of Ramayan's story. But in that story, there are like multiple characters which have influenced the life of the main characters. Like when Ram was in forest, and when Ravan abducted Sita, who was the first one who would help Sita? Who tried to help? Was that a selfless deed? Yeah, because he knew that he cannot defeat Ravan, but that was a selfless deed, right? When Ram was ready to go to forest, who came to him first that I will also follow you? Lakshmana and Sita. Was that a selfless deed? Nobody asked him, right? Only Ram was chosen one to go to the forest. Nobody asked him. That was a selfless deed. But what Bharat did? Stayed in the middle. And what was it more than Lakshman's sacrifice? Was it more than Lakshman's sacrifice? To believe that you are living in the core of some place which has all the luxury, right? And you're still not following that. You're still not using that. Was that a selfless deed? Right? These elements, these characters actually inspire the story. These characters actually help in thinking beyond the self. We know the story of Hanuman, how he just given entire his life in Ram's devotion. We know Hanuman was the greatest devotee of Ram, right? What he did, he followed whatever Ram said, selflessly, nothing. Whatever Ram says, he follows. Right? Go to Lanka, find Sita, whatever you want to do, come back, fight for me, everything. He does that. And he became so selfless in that devotion that he never had thought of having his own, right? If there are multiple narrations that say that Hanuman was like Brahmachari, he has followed Brahmachari and all those events had happened. He has another story of having that similar relation with Sugriva also. But the devotion with Ram has actually made him larger than life, right? Beyond the events of what is happening in the main story of Ram. One story I would want to tell about Hanuman, which is not mentioned in Valmiki's Ramayana, but I was researching about the different story. What I found was Hanuman was so much attached with Ram that he never wanted Ram to leave the planet. He never wanted. So when the time of the tenure of Ram's came to an end, that okay, that all Ram will have happened. Ram has become the king, and all those things have happened. Now somebody who has came to earth has to go back also. That's the cycle of life. So Ram also had to go, but Hanuman was so much attached to him that he was not letting him go. And when Yam used to come to make that story or take Ram with him, Hanuman was always standing as a guard for Ram, that Yam was very much afraid of Hanuman, that he cannot breach that security. So one fine day Yam came and he saw Hanuman was actually guarding Ram, and he was so afraid that he could not take Ram with him. So he requested Ram that please do something. The time is over. The cycle has to continue. This is the life cycle, right? Everyone who has come to this planet has to go. This is my duty. Ram says this is my duty, and Hanuman is not going to help. Is not letting me do my duty. So Ram said, okay, give me 2 days time. I will figure it out. And come after 2 days, we'll see what to do next. So Ram used to wear one ring, right? Like he was a king, he can have multiple ornaments, but he was wearing one ring which was very close to him. And what he did was he dropped that ring from a very small pole in his palace. There was a pole somewhere. He just dropped that ring there and told Hanuman, "Oh, I lost my ring. Can you go and bring it to me?" And Hanuman is like, whatever the master says. So he has that power, right? He can make his size big and small, right? So he shrunk his size and got into that hole, and in the hunt of that ring, he went inside, and there he landed into another world, and there he found there was a heap of rings. There was not only one ring, but similar rings, there were a heap of rings. So there was a guard standing there, and he said that my God's ring has come down, Ram's ring has come down, and can I pick it? He says, go, there's a heap of rings, find it. Or whichever is yours, your Ram's ring, pick it. And what he found was each ring was similar to his Ram's ring. So he was not able to find that. He realized that this is something which Ram has done for him, make him understand something. They came up and asked Ram, what is that Maya? Master, what is that which you have done? He says, remember Hanuman, you are not the only Hanuman who was born in this earth, and I am not the only Ram who has come to this earth. There is always a cycle which you have to follow. It's a time which keeps on going. So there's a cycle around it. So I would want you to let me go. So that selfless devotion which you have for me, which is stopping something from the cycle of time, please let it go. And that is where, and then the events happened where Ram blessed him to become immortal and all those things. But the crux of the event was that sometimes these selfless devotion becomes so attached, that attachment becomes so strong that even the master and the devotee becomes like they're not able to let go of things. So that is where we find these stories thinking us beyond the self. And one has thought beyond himself and in the devotion of God. So another event which comes to my mind about from these beyond the self things are when in Mahabharata, everybody knows about the story of Mahabharata, right? The Kaurav Pandav war happened in this. I'm not going to talk about this Kaurav Pandav war, and not even talk about what has happened in the events of the 18 days events of the war. Everyone knows about it. But if you see, when I was trying to or researching about the characters whom should I make the hero of my story or my story around Mahabharata, then I thought that why not again pick someone who is not too known or maybe lesser known and who has supported a lot in the entire story. And the one name which came to me was Abhimanyu. How we know Abhimanyu? Arjuna's son. How we know Abhimanyu as one day warrior maybe? Day of the war and he just died in that war, unfortunately. But what was that? What were those events which were actually made that 13th day of the war has happened? Like what made Abhimanyu immortal in our memories forever? Right? That is bound to happen, but he became immortal. Right? So his selfless devotion for the king. When that Chakravyuh was formed, only Arjuna knew how to break that. Everyone knows that he was away in some other direction, fighting some other enemies. And then he just said that, son, only you know how to break this. So he says, I know how to break, but I don't know how to come out. There was a reluctance, right? There's a 16 years old boy. Can you imagine like 16 years old in the war forefront for his motherland, wanting to save for his country, for his king, fighting for his king. He says, I can get inside, but I don't know if I will be coming out or not, because I don't know how to come out of that. Right? So what is just said, okay, you go, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out what will happen. You go first, you break it first, because or else everyone will die. It's unreachable. Everyone will die. You just go and break it, and then we'll figure it out how we'll send Bhim behind you, we'll send Nakul behind you, and then we'll do something. Abhimanyu knew that this is not going to happen. But still he followed what the king said. For him, the king was his father's elder brother. There was a relation. He could have said that, okay, think about the relation and don't make me the scapegoat. But what he did was, he thought selflessly on that day. For him, saving the king was the prime duty. And that is what we see in our soldiers today. Saving the motherland, the prime duty. That is what keeps us going, right? And that was happened on that day, on the 16th day of the war as well. And a series of events happened when he went inside and then couldn't come out. That was his last day. But what made him immortal was that particular decision which he took, that I have to think beyond myself. He had his self-identity, his wife was pregnant, his progeny was yet to born, but he did not think about anything beyond that war. Right? And the stories of Arjuna has become immortal in many of our lives, right? Does it make sense? Can we relate to those events that okay? Are we, because when we read the stories, these stories for the first time, we read them as stories. But when we start reading the stories from the individual perspectives, we see that there are much more beyond the real main story which the main author wanted to tell. There's something much beyond those events which author certainly tells, and people they just have to take those events. Like the other example within my other book which I took was Yutsu. Who know? How many of us know about Yutsu? Right? He was like one of the Kauravas, half Kaurava, born Dhritarashtra. His father was Dhritarashtra, his mother was Gandhari. So he was half Kaurava, and with all his love and affection for his father and for other brothers, it was by default that he should have favored Kauravas. His skills were at par to the skills of any other Pandava or Kaurava. May not be Arjuna, who was beyond any other warrior, but as like Nakul said, he was in the religious community. Yutsu was similar to at par with them, even in the Kaurava side of also. You see, he was trained under the same teacher. He was trained with the similar level of skills which was given to other sons. Yutsu also got the same. So he was at par. And he had to choose on the first day of the war when Yudhishthira asked that anybody, even before the beginning of the war, if anybody wants to switch the side, this is the time. Take your decision. We know the first day of the war as Bhagavad Gita's day, right? We all know that Arjuna was confused what to do and what not to do, and then Krishna came and then says, Ato prapasyasi swargam hitva bhokyasimani, right? Uttishta konte yudhaya kutnishya. So that was Krishna's way of encouraging Arjuna. But what made Yutsu think differently on that day? He was not listening to Krishna for Bhagavad Gita. That was between two friends. The Bhagavad Gita Dhyan is between two friends only. And what we see, what we read today, Bhagavad Gita is like an and passive voice version which Sanjay has told to Prakash, right? Right? You know that Sanjay has that vision. We could say, could have seen that whatever we read in Bhagavad Gita today is the passive voice version. So it's like a translated version or maybe transformed version. That is not the original version. And we have to accept that because Krishna has never written it. Krishna has only told it to Arjuna, and somebody has heard it and then recited it, right? So what has happened on that day, which made Yusuf to take that decision, which has gone beyond the decision which Arjuna might have taken, or the decision which any other warrior might have taken. And that day, Yusuf again became like an immortal. So he took his decision of siding the righteousness, the duty, the dharma, whatever you want to call about it. He took that decision of fighting something which is right as per him. Because the definition of righteousness differs from person to person. What is right to me may not be right to you, right? What is right to you may not be absolutely right to me, right? So these elements which Yusuf has taken that decision on that day, on the first day of the war, that made him different from other Kauravas. And he said that, okay, I will come with you. I see Bhima as my closest friend. I cannot raise my sword against him. Right? That was his way of showing his affection for Bhima. So Yuzu when decided that he did not foresee that one day he is going to become one of the key characters in Mahabharata in the later times when war will get over or whatever, when Yudhishthira will become the king and afterwards when Yudhishthira will have to retire, then what will happen. He did not visualize those all things in that very moment. But he took that decision based on his intelligence or based on his understanding or based on his views about what is right, what is wrong, what is my right, is what is right. And I'm thinking beyond myself. Because his way was, I do not think with whatever his way is right. He has thought something differently which is beyond his views or beyond himself. So these elements actually makes us think beyond the achievements, beyond the selfishness, I would say that makes us or inspire us to become selfless. Right? So there may be many elements in life which we see that inspire us doing things which are beyond our core capabilities. This entire campus is a epitome of that. We all do our tasks with greater positivity, with greater energy, and even without thinking what will happen the next day. Because we have a set task, right? Which we have to follow. Certain steps. We do it selflessly for the greater cause, and we have to pass it on as well. Right? If we are gaining something today, if we do not pass it on tomorrow, what will happen? I believe in one phrase, it's called create opportunity. And creating opportunity means you do not have to wait for something, you do not have to wait for the door to open. You have to create that door for yourself. My idea of writing these books or these stories around different characters is to find those characters that who has created the opportunities for themselves and inspired many more to create opportunities for themselves. Right? Like how Sadhguru or the student society is doing today will inspire many generations to come. It will inspire all of us sitting in this campus today to make something above and beyond what is there today, right? So what makes these people as heroes? What is that thing which keeps them going? What is something which they do differently which others cannot? Anything which you think of, because you must have attended a lot of sessions with multiple dignitaries or multiple masters of different domains. What is one thing which you think that these heroes of life are doing differently which other common people are? Is there anything which you feel or which you have observed which you want to share?
Their attitude towards life.
Attitude towards life. Yes. Motivation is something which people get from where they are getting motivation. The individuality is nothing has no like influence over the higher spectrum, if I may put it that way. So if they compare with individuality and if you compare the overall the greater achievement or greater goodness for the society, they see that individuality is very low, it's small, it's stuck in this cosmos. Right? So that's something. But I was reading a story somewhere I would definitely want to share with you all that there was a trainer of I can put that as a master of martial arts, and he used to do a lot of he has trained a lot of his disciples in martial arts. And he used to do all this for like 40 years we have done it. And people just feel very inspired to see that whatever he has achieved is like being dedication for martial art and doing something beyond which everybody else would think of. So one fine day, a new disciple came to him and he said that I would want to become like you. I I am so much inspired with you. I will follow whatever you do. You tell me, sir, whatever it takes, I will do. So he said that there's nothing differently I do. Like this is the characteristic of great people that they are always humble, they are always modest. They say I do not do anything different. Just happens, right? You might if you hear a lot of great people, they always say it just happens. I do not do anything which is beyond the spectrum of this life. So the master also said the same thing. I do not do anything differently. It's just you people have made me so popular and famous. Doesn't know something, sir. You are doing something differently. I want to learn that. So he did not uh, uh, he did not have accepted what master was trying to convince him for. So he said that okay, let me try to follow him and I'll follow him in his early morning sessions, which he does alone. And the master has that routine of doing 4 a.m. sessions all alone. He does not want to do or share with anyone. So that was his time, 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. this time. He used to do it alone. So he said, I will sneak peek to it and see what he does, which he definitely does not want to share with anyone, and he does it differently. So and that is why he is famous. So he went to that garden where the master used to do that session early in the morning. He went there and saw that master came, did the rituals, morning rituals, prayers, and then just do same simple exercises which he used to tell to all his disciples. He has not done anything different. I mean, he rushed towards the master and said, I'm sorry, I really apologize. I have sneak peek. I knew I was not allowed here, but I wanted to learn some of what you are doing in that space, which is very secluded place. It is only for you. I just wanted to know what you do. So master said, what you found? He said, you do not do anything differently. Well, that is what I was telling you. I do not do anything differently, but I do it daily. Right? That has made him the master. That has made him that is how he has reached to that attitude, which other disciples could not. The simplest thing doing repeatedly every day. Same routine makes him master. That is what the masters do. They do not get distracted with any of these any distractions coming in life. They always follow what their goal is. For the past 40, 50 years, the master has done the same thing. He was still doing, and he may would be doing it in his last breath. But that is what he has made his routine. Do it daily. Be simple, do it daily. The concentration, that level of concentration it gives him, it makes him more stronger every day. Simple but effective. And that keeps him going. And that is what the differentiating between the people who become the master and those who are just common mind like me or others. Masters do the same thing in routine, simple but follow the routine. A lot of people, if I want to learn some music or if somebody wants to learn any instrument, for the first few months, no voice will come out, right? Right? And then that was a time when people just forget about that. But those who become masters, ask them what they have done, what they have achieved in, how they have achieved that. They're continuously growing, continuously doing the same thing, continuously routine, same same thing in a different notes. That's all. Right? That is how they become masters of their professions. If you see these people who become the masters or who become the powerful in their particular domains in which they work, the one thing which they always follow is attempting, trying for that. Right? So there is a famous shloka which everybody in India knows. Everyone knows. Everyone knows. What does it mean? Nothing. Do your work, result is not your something like that. Now, there's a difference in which we should see that. And how the common colleague, the common people versus the masters look into it. So if as a common man, if I see it, then I'm like, okay, I will do my work, I will not worry about the result of that. Will that motivate me? Will that motivate me? If I think in that way, okay, so Gita में लिखा है ना. So कर्मण्येवाधिकारः से Gita में लिखा है, so I will follow blindfolded. What Krishna has said, we must have said some intellect behind that, which I'm not able to understand. So that is why I follow it. But what the achievers, how achievers see it, it's like, let me do my work. Till the time I am responsible for my work, I do it with full dedication. The smallest cell, my body, will be activated to get that work done. Beyond that, result is not my internal control. Right? That is a difference. If we start reading these scriptures with the intention of just following it, if we start reading these scriptures with the intention of just following it, where will we go? Right? There should be some inspiration, right? What you want to achieve, the goal should be clear. What I want to achieve in life should be clear, right? With that intention, if I go and read, I'll find a different meaning in books. Because someone has told me, because my father has told me, I will not question it. That's a wrong attitude, always. Sometimes we have to, but it's okay. Sometimes we have to follow because he has his own experience in life and he tells us with his own intellect. We have to follow that. But if we stop questioning, what happens? If we stop questioning the things, then the growth stops. Right? Are you following? Right? And when growth stops, no matter whatever you do, if it is beyond for yourself or beyond self, you will not even do this. Right? Making sense? Are you following or sleeping? Following, right? So the learning comes with failure. People say that there are very famous quotes which says that I do not fail, I either succeed or I learn. I'm just trying to paraphrase some famous quotes, right? So it says I do not fail, I either succeed or I learn. So that's a way of motivating self that okay, no matter what, if the result is failure, it's fine, right? I will learn something, at least I will have some experience. But if failure doesn't make you feel bad, what will be its impact? Have you ever thought about it? If failure stops thinking you feel bad about it, if you do not get frustrated that I failed, what will happen? Just stop trying. Stop trying. Because that will become in our routine that okay, चलता है ठीक मिला तो मिला नहीं मिला तो नहीं मिला. Like if I get it or do not get it, it's fine. ये तो गीता में लिखा है. Right? Let's question it. Why failure is not bothering me? right? If failure is not bothering us, or if failure is not bothering you, there is a problem. But how long that failure should bother, that you have to decide. That you have to learn from Gita. Right? That we have to learn from Bhagavad Gita, that how long that failure should bother us. But failure should definitely bother us. If we do not feel bad about failures, our own growth will stop. Do you follow? Right? Learning comes. The skills we acquire. Learning happens over time. Doing same thing multiple times. You will learn, come to know about that. You learn. And then you say that okay, try till you succeed. You will fail for the first time, second time, third time, fourth time, you will succeed. People will. But if you do not bother on the first time, you will try this for the second time. Right? That is what makes us motivated to do things. What is that? Fear of failure. But that fear of failure should not come inside your brain. So that or else it will stop the entire growth also. There will be a balance. I could have fear for the failure, but that fear should be balanced. Right? That should not affect the attempt for the next time. I will go and attempt for the next time also with the learnings from the first failure. I will go and do it again. But that first failure should bother also. If it has stopped bothering, then you will never attempt for the second time. Right? All the great sports persons of all the times, have they never failed? They failed. Or did that bother them? Yes. They practice again, keeping that mind that okay, for last time how they failed. And that is why they try to not repeat the same mistake for the next time. Right? Following? Yes, no? Yes. With this, when we say that the balance between failure and success, the balance between the fear of failure or attempting, learning, what is one thing which always keep us going, which always keep us motivating, which always keep us thinking is a dream. It's a dream of achieving something, the dream of reaching somewhere, the dream of giving back to the society from where I have been. Right? And these dreams will never stop. If we stop dreaming, the cycle will stop. These dreams should never stop. When your future self will reflect and see what your present self has done, that should not regret. What I want today may not be relevant tomorrow. What I want today may not be relevant tomorrow, but when I reach tomorrow and reflect back for today, I should not feel cheated that I have never attempted, I have never dreamt. And that will keep us motivated, thinking beyond ourselves, thinking beyond what our duties are, and thinking beyond what our capabilities are. With this, I want to give 3 words which I have learned today only, and that is be honest, be humble, and be human. Thank you very much.
Yeah, open to questions.
Yeah. Anybody has any questions? Anybody has questions or who are connected online? If any question has come in the chat.
I have a question. Like when I was reading your book, somewhere I found that you always live in person, who always lives in you.
Yeah.
What was going in your mind
Good observation. So that was from the context of Krishna and I think Arjuna or some other character. But Krishna was certainly there in that context when I was writing that. So some character says to Krishna about when you were talking about truth and falsehoods and whatever has happened to multiple characters there. The character says to Krishna that truth is always in you and you are always in the truth. That means he meant that whatever is happening here, you are aware of that, but you are letting that happen. There must be something behind that which I am not able to see. You are making me to do my work, to do my duty. So this I can add something more on that. That if you see Krishna's statue or idols or movies in any temples or anywhere in your own temple, most of the time, 99% of the time, you will find Krishna holding fruit. Right? Most of the time, if we, apart from those paintings of Mahabharata or Gita, apart from that, it was never seen without his fruit. Right? So, what my way of seeing it is that he says that I know what is going to happen, and what is happening with you or what will happen to you, I know about it. I am just showing you the path. Following is your problem. That is not my problem. So he is having that fruit of that consultant. I am the consultant. And I will give you the advice. Following or not following is your problem. So I know the truth. I know the truth. If you want to say it, or if you don't want to say it, is your problem. So that is why when we see Krishna having food, he's always calm, of course, never into always epitome of calmness. The mistake we some devotees call it mistake, some devotees call it other names. He's always consultant kind of person, right? I know what will happen. I'm going to do. I shall go to the path. You want to follow it, or else things will happen. So, coming back to your question. So, the truth is always known, the truth is always in the surrounding. How we see it, how we perceive it, something which makes us different from others.
We have another question. After analyzing Mahabharata, we find that every character followed their Swadharma, whether it is good or evil.
Yeah.
So is Swadharma greater than Dharma? Is the question.
Okay. What is Dharma? What is Dharma? Huh? What is? Following what is supposed to be followed, righteousness, duties. There are many translations of Dharma. If you go to the English words, many translations like duties, responsibilities, righteousness, and all those things. But there is no actual translation of the Sanskrit word or any of the other language. There's no actual translation. We roughly translate it to righteousness. And then there is some term words for them called Swa is my righteousness. So when you say that my righteousness is more than the righteousness, is there something to balance that this is my right and this is right? If something is right, that is right. How we are perceiving it is something that makes a difference. If I say that outside there is sunlight, there is sunlight. If you close your eyes, you will not see it. Clouds are in, there are clouds today. There are clouds. You see it, don't see it, it's up to the person. So my dharma, my righteousness versus the righteousness, there is no explanation to it. But the other side of it, which is more important that everybody should understand is what is more important, following the righteousness which I experience in my life, or which is like I feel is right, versus following someone blindly. Right? There's a again Krishna has mentioned this in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2 or chapter 3, where he says that roughly it translates to that it's always better to follow what you think is right. Roughly, this is very rough, rather than following something which is blind, which you have to like follow blind. So someone tells that this is right, and I start following it. That is a blind following. If I evaluate whether it is right or wrong, and then I follow, and I accept that, and it becomes my righteousness, my duty, my right. Right? That's there is nothing to say. There's no comparison in that. But I would suggest that to answer it, that how I'm evaluating that particular core of the thing. If someone says this is right, under my evaluation whether it is right or not, and then I will follow it, or I will politely be lying to what the person is saying. So following your duty is important. Following the duty is subject. Right? I hope that answers. Any other? Yeah.
We say communication. We are limiting it to a language, to what is spoken or written. So this misconception is getting understood as we can only learn by listening to people or reading something. And in the process, we are forgetting that communication happens. Language is ultimately only a tool to communicate, express our thoughts or something that we have learned in life. And obviously, when you are an author, there are so many times you will personally would have experienced that what you want to convey, you are not able to do justice through words, right, or through by speaking. So how can we transcend this?
Okay. So when we are talking to people face to face, our word is supported by emotions. Right? If we are angry, our facial expressions are different, and we are happy. Okay? So the words are nothing but the carrier of our emotions, which reaches the ears of the other person, and then the person comprehends it, and then takes, and then the conversation goes on. The emotions which we express at the time of while telling those words become a catalyst to that. Like whether the person is angry or whether the person is happy, person is normal. We come to know with that, with those emotions. Now, while writing or while making trying to cover these aspects in words, there are ways to tell the story. One is it's called first person, second person, third person form the stories. The first person form the story says that I am telling my version of the story. Present tense. It's the first person. Like I have done this since morning. This is my routine of the day. This is the first person telling. So what I will miss in that is I will not elaborate about the surroundings. Right? And because I know I have lived that in the entire day of the event, I have lived that. So I will not bother about the surroundings. I will just recite that, tell that, okay, I did this, I did that. This was the end of it. Now when I'm telling this to you, and you are going to tell it to some other person, then become the third person narrative. When you're going to tell with this third person narration, what will happen is you will add emotions to it. Or if you're going to write in some format, you will add that, okay, Aniket came to our campus today. It was sunny outside, cool breeze, something you will add, and then it was a lighty room where we were sitting, a lot of other students were also in the campus, we interacted on multiple topics, and then we started thinking which was trying to answer. What will happen is you will add certain elements which associate or which will act as catalyst to the original story. Right? So what will happen is these words, the catalyst, will become the catalyst or the emotion, to the emotions or to the original story, is something which always helps us in communicating. Right? So to answer what you are asking in a nutshell is always focus on your emotions as well, or give equal weight to the emotions as you give the weight to the words. Because you can use the words wisely when you're talking, use it wisely when you're talking to strangers or you're talking to your seniors or your peers. Use the word wisely, but use the emotions as well. How you're expressing yourself, and that actually has equal weightage when you are writing also. And we write about those emotions. We create certain elements around those words that it act as elements to those help in living those sentiments. So if you go back and want to tell this story to your friend, you will have to create this environment first which you tell that story. You're not going to tell the this. In what context you are. And then when this happens, right, whenever we quote or misquote someone, the context misses. And then that is a problem of most of the words. Right? The context goes off, and when you create this concept for context first, on which ground these statements were made, on what questions these things were answered, then when the context was set right, this will be clear to the person who is reading your story in the third person. Yes. Anything? Yeah.
So we can see that each and every person who is doing a personality in one field, take for example the recent news. And football, you see Mbappe, who became one of the hits for this football. This time photo which went viral was he was sitting in his room and all the walls were covered with posters of Mbappe. So for him to become a great footballer, there was another footballer who inspired him. So you are a great writer. So was there an author or authors who inspired you to become a good writer? And what was that specialty in those authors that made you follow them?
Yeah. So always writing comes from inspiration. So if I say that I was not never inspired by any other writer or something, I will go too wrong. And there is not one, there were many like BSM here first, but phenomenal working in that. I cannot read Kannada, that is my problem. But I definitely wish to be working in the real language. I have written a translated version of his work, and I'm so much of inspired to the work which he has dedicated. He has written those stories, became revolutionary in Kannada literature, and all his work in that era, where a lot of problems in the society was happening, or is happening, and he has surrounded those problems with the voice of his words and the stories that he has built around it. And then the work which he brought forward is phenomenal, right? There are people like Rasim Bond, if I haven't heard of his story. It's very simple, very down to earth, very simple narration. But one thing which always inspires me while reading Rasim Bond is the way he creates the scenery around his stories. If he talks about a framework like a waterfall, you will create such a good direction around that waterfall. You start feeling that the water is so that's how the power of words. Sudhamurthy is another very phenomenal author. Writes in very simple language, very effective way of telling, communicating story. Great storytellers of their times. Some modern storytellers, some of my friends are great storytellers of all the times, who have written much better than me. I am just learning with it. So I'm still young. I'm still learning. I
not like a but actually I will become myself. So just to answer that, there are many methods, not to give one. These are two, three examples that I. Anything anyone else? Anyone else online?
Yes.
You ask anything? You ask? Who will ask? There was a chat here.
It was a wonderful lecture. Sadhguru always said that selfless action is to break the boundaries of space and time. And your speech has also again reminded us that selfless actions go beyond space and time. And we have also mentioned that finding the balance in life is very important. Like between Swadharma or Dharma, we have said. So it's life is all about finding balance in life so that we can give it to others and make them grow, like create opportunity. Not just give. We have to give other people, not just receive. And we, as a university, we be very thankful and very open to come again and again to campuses in Mudugari and Gulbarga. And we hope to read a lot of books.
Thank you so much, and it will be really my pleasure to be with you again and again. Thanks for inviting. Thank you, sir, for having me here and giving me an opportunity to have a talk with you. And I think it was a great experience. I'm in total awe of this campus because I have never thought of something going so smoothly. It's a lot of streamlined campus, and there is no barter system here. People are just doing their work selflessly, and that has motivated me. I wait to come again. Right. Thank you so much. Thank you, people on the call. Thanks for your time and thanks for listening. So, on the call, people, thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have enjoyed the session. If you have any questions, you can give it to Upalji or Santoshji, and I will try to answer.